Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. We're so glad that you're here. Today we're going to share the top 10 keto tips that are going to help you stay successful when it comes to your keto diet. Number 10, only eat when you're hungry. I think a lot of people focus so much on their macros that they think that they need to reach their fat when they're not even hungry. So my suggestion would be listen to your body and make sure that you are only eating when you feel a hunger pang and really not when you're just bored.
Yeah, the fat is to keep you satiated so you can go a longer amount of time without eating. It's not because it tastes great. That's not what this is about. You don't live your life that way, and that's what causes many people to get in trouble in the first place. Number 9, follow your macros. Now, everyone's is slightly different. Obviously, you got to find out what works best for you. But the easiest way to hit your macros overall for the day or the week or whatever it is to kind of plan them out per meal. So every time you eat, if you create the right ratio of fat, proteins, and carbohydrates, you'll end up hitting that goal for the week.
Winging it is really never a good idea, just because you never really know what you're eating. So when we say hit your macros or follow your macros, like he said, everyone's macros are going to be different, but everyone's macros are going to be high fat, moderate protein, low carb. So when you eat your meals, just keep that in mind. Just make sure that your fats are first, and that your proteins are moderate, and that your carb is super low, and you should be fine. Number 8, join a keto community. Or really I should say join the keto community, because we're all one community. I think this one is vitally important because when you do things alone, you tend to fail a lot faster. So find some kind of group that is gonna understand why you're eating the way you're eating. Josh and I actually run a Facebook group that we'll put down in the description below. You can join that group, post your meals, post your struggles, post your victories, and that's always really helpful because then you'll have people there that are always gonna try to encourage you. And we don't take nothing from no keto popo, okay?
Yeah, there's the people like to say, oh, that's not keto, for just about anything you can come up with, because they're the only ones who are doing it correctly.
Right. Josh is really into Reddit. I don't really do Reddit. I sometimes go on there to check it out because we do have one, and that's actually a really great community. Most of the time they're very, very encouraging, especially when it comes to people who are losing weight or just eating keto in general. There's a subreddit for that.
Especially if you're a beginner, go Reddit, wherever, Facebook groups, whatever it is, and ask questions.
Yeah.
People have been doing it longer
time
than you, so they're going to have experiences that they can tell you about. Number 7, get your blood work done. Now, there are a lot of doctors who are very anti-keto. They push what they've been taught, the standard American diet. So when you go to a doctor, obviously you want to try and find one that's going to support your decision to follow keto. But if they don't, your blood work is a good way to kind of sway them. The improvements you'll see if you follow it correctly usually surprises them. Mm-hmm. That's what I see a lot of people saying, their doctor was very against any decision towards keto because there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Yes.
And usually are surprised, and then eventually supports them continuing whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
That's what keep doing what you're doing, and without specifically supporting keto.
One thing I did really want to mention about your blood work is that a lot of times doctors are going to read it the way that they were taught that they had to read it, or the old way, or they don't keep up with new research, or whatever the case may be. So one thing I really wanted to hit on was cholesterol. And I know that a lot of people do keto and they see their cholesterol go up a little bit and then they freak out and then they quit. In fact, I have personal friends who have done that. And what I really wanted to encourage people to really watch out for is the scare tactic that doctors can use to get you on medications. A lot of times they're going to try to prescribe you a statin because they are pushed to do that. That's what they're required to do as physicians. But you can actually find doctors who will say the opposite and be like, no, you're fine, everything's good. For example, I got my blood work done. It was my total cholesterol was at a 206, and they were trying to tell me that that was pretty high and that I should probably consider getting on a statin. But when I go listen to other doctors who are very well versed in the ketogenic diet, they say that that's not even close to being high. One thing we want to say is we're not doctors, so we're not going to tell you what to do. But some people that you can listen to are Dr. John Lemansky, Dr. Ken D. Berry, and Dr. Berg. And we'll link all of their YouTubes in our description below so that you guys can get some more information on who you can follow when it comes to getting medical advice about your ketogenic diet. Number 6, if you're stalling, change it up. First thing I want to mention is let's go over what stalling actually means. Stalling does not mean that if you don't lose weight in like one day that you're stalling and that this is terrible and that this isn't working for you. Stalling actually means that you've been doing everything right. You've been following your macros. You haven't cheated, and you're getting hydrated enough. You've been doing all of those things, and yet after 3 to 4 weeks, you're still at the same weight and you still have weight to lose. In those cases, what we would suggest is changing up your ketogenic way of eating. You might have to lower your fats. You might have to up your fats. You might have to lower your carbs, up your carbs, lower your protein, up your protein. You have to play with it a little bit so that you can kind of see what's working for you. At the moment, Josh and I are trying, and you'll see it in our next video, we're trying the carnivore way of eating where we're only eating animal products for 1 week. And I know that it's different for everyone, but after only 1 day of eating that way, I woke up this morning 3 pounds lighter. So that tells me that my body is changing and that it's getting rid of any extra water that was in there. And I kind of had a little whoosh moment overnight.
Also, certain ingredients can affect different people. So just because something's sugar-free doesn't mean that it's going to be good for you.
Right.
Sugar substitutes like sucralose and things like that can affect some people and actually create a stall because it creates the same reaction in your body that it would if you had sugar. Obviously there's sugar alcohols which are considered keto friendly, but some of them are pretty high on the glycemic index, so that's gonna be a problem for you. Things like maltitol, that's you might as well be eating sugar. It's no different. There are recommended ones that have shown no effect on the blood sugar, like erythritol. Some have just a very slight effect, like xylitol, things like that. Those are better. Even stevia is all right.
What's that new one that you were telling me about? That's in the new Quest bars. Allulose.
Yeah, that is actually a sugar, but it also shows no effect.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually a sugar, not a sugar alcohol, but
it's like a real sugar. What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Number 5, don't focus on the number on the scale. Obviously, you want to lose weight if you're overweight, but when you're losing weight, and especially using this diet, I mean, there's a lot of different factors that are going to affect your weight. So if you're working out, that's going to affect your weight. If you're eating certain things, that's going to affect your weight. If you're losing a lot of water, that's going to affect your weight. I mean, you may be following everything just right, and it's still not moving. Now, you have, obviously, as we talked about, you have to change things up a little bit, but especially if you're working out. Now, you're gaining muscle, or if you're lifting weights, or whatever it is, you're going to be changing your body composition, not necessarily your weight.
We have a scale here, and we do use it, and it's pretty cool. But if you guys have access to a scale somewhere where it actually does your full body composition, that's going to actually give you a better understanding of where you're at. So for example, 1 week, I was at the same weight for a really long time. I think it was 2 weeks, and then I lost 2 pounds finally. But I was so upset because I'd only lost 2 pounds in 3 weeks. My weight and on the body composition weight scale that we have at work, I was able to see that, of course, my weight had dropped 2 pounds, but my fat percentage had dropped down 4% and my muscle mass index had gone up 6%. So that means that I had lost body fat and gained muscle. But only lost 2 pounds. And that's a bigger deal to me. The fact that I'm losing body fat, I'm gaining muscle mass. Like, that's the entire point of doing it, not the numbers on the scale. The numbers are just a small indicator of the success that you're going through. Number 4, be honest with yourself and find yourself an accountability partner. We already talked about finding a community, which is really important, but finding an actual accountability partner that you can actually talk to on a daily basis, one-on-one, over the text, on the phone, whatever, that's going to be even more beneficial to you, because it'll be someone that you can tell all of your like deepest, darkest secrets, all of your cheats, but you have to be honest with yourself first. You cannot go through life eating cakes every day and then telling people like, I'm doing everything right, I don't know what's going on. Like, be honest with yourself. Find yourself someone that you can talk to, even if it's like a counselor. Like, if you need a counselor to talk to about your eating habits, just a best friend that's doing keto with you, that is really good. A pastor is really good too if you're talking, they may not understand the way you're eating, but at least they can kind of guide you through your addiction problem.
Number 3, read the nutrition labels and the ingredients of products. Just because something markets itself as keto friendly or even paleo friendly or whatever it is, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have things in it that can affect you. Things like dextrose or
corn starches.
Yeah, potato starch. So we buy cheese a lot. If you buy it pre-shredded, it more than likely has potato starch in it.
Because it makes it not stick together. So it's going to have potato starch in there, so that means that there's going to be hidden carbs.
Yeah, and just because it says 0 carbs on the label doesn't mean there's actually 0. They can put, up to point whatever of a carb and still call it 0.
Still put 0. Yeah. It's crazy.
So it's
a loophole.
It's better to assume at least 1 carb.
Yeah.
From anything that has things like that in it.
Yeah, if it has dextrose, cornstarch, potato starch, any starch really at all, I would assume immediately that it has at least 1 carb per serving. Number 2, know your weaknesses. What we mean by that is a lot of people suffer from sugar and carb addiction, okay? And so for someone like Josh, he could probably have a piece of cake one day and then go right back on to keto the next minute. And that's great. Some people can do that, but don't lie to yourself. If you can't do that, you can't do that. I cannot do that. I've had a lot of counselors tell me, everything in moderation. As long as you have everything in moderation, then you're fine. Like people restrict themselves too much and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not true for everybody. It's really important to understand that it's not depriving yourself, it's being disciplined with the way you're eating. It's okay to say no to things, and people are gonna judge you and say that you're depriving yourself. Just let them, because they don't understand.
Well, a lot of eating is social. So like if you're going to a party or a potluck or whatever, bring something keto friendly that you can eat, because there's no guarantee that anyone else will. And then of course, again, still be disciplined, because you can't just overdo it on keto friendly foods and think that's okay too. It's a habit. It's a behavioral issue. A lot of eating is just social in general. So if you can't handle it, if you think you can handle it and you go and eat beforehand and think, I'll be fine because I'll be satiated the whole time, but when you get to the party, everyone around you in conversation and things like that are eating, you might feel pressure to do so also, and you may not even realize you're doing it, and you're sitting there, feeding your face. It's not a idea of like, you shouldn't deprive yourself and don't enjoy life. I don't think most people at 600 pounds are enjoying their life at a certain point, and there's a lot of things they're missing out on because of it.
Yeah.
So you're not really enjoying your life when you're not healthy.
Right.
Just because you had a donut. That's not. It's
not worth it.
It's very momentary.
It is. It's not worth it at all. Oh, you get to do number 1. Be prepared. Meal prep regression, huh? Aw.
Number 1, be prepared. Really, this is kind of an overall thing. Be prepared for anything. You know, like I said, be prepared if you go to a party. Be prepared for not having a lot of time to make food. If you have to meal prep, if you have to plan out your whole week ahead of time, do it. It's a discipline. It takes time to get it right, and I mean it's a hard thing, but it's necessary.
It's worth it too.
Otherwise, you'll probably quit.
Yeah.
Really quickly.
I honestly I'm huge about this, although sometimes we do struggle with this a lot. Being prepared is so vital because it's you put in the work to be prepared, so you're like, oh, I have to do this because I put the work in, you know. So when we don't normally meal prep, but like yesterday, since we're doing the carnivore way of eating for this week, I cooked a bunch of meat, a bunch of bacon, got some hard-boiled eggs ready, all this stuff, because I want to be really serious about taking this week seriously so that when we do our video, I can just share what my experience was. And also, I've already seen some weight loss, which is awesome. So being prepared really makes it a lot easier to follow and stick with your plan. What's that saying?
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yes. And that is so true. If you guys are going to do this way of eating and you know that you struggle with like eating out a lot or whatever, and that's what's causing you to derail, then meal prep. Meal prep your week, and then you don't have an excuse. You have food for the week, Those are our top 10 tips that we have for you guys. These are from our personal experiences. If there's any tips that you think would help other people out, leave them in the comments below. And if you guys have any questions about anything, go ahead and comment that as well. We're always down to answer. If you guys liked this video, make sure you share it to your groups. Make sure you share it to your Facebook. Maybe somebody who's interested in doing keto or who's struggling doing keto. Go ahead and share that with them. Subscribe to our channel and click that bell so that you guys can get notifications whenever we come out with new content. Thanks for watching. Bye.